Hello, dear all. Welcome back. This is Sheila Says, a space for quiet reflection in a noisy world. We are living in a time of so much movement and uncertainty, wars that don't seem to end, people displaced from their homes, cultures colliding, financial pressure, fear about the future, and a sense that something familiar is slipping away. And in the middle of all this, many people are still asking the same ancient questions. Where is God in all of this? What does faith look like now? And how do I live with love when the world feels so fractured? This channel was created for those questions as reflection points. Today, in part 3 of 7-part series, we will see, we will reflect on what else is God restoring in Christ's death on the cross and the resurrection on the third day. And today is the part 3 of that series. What broke in the beginning? Last time we sat with something very real that even when we want to live with love, why are we still struggling? And we noticed that what we do on the outside often comes as something deeper within us, our inner being. So today, let's take one step further and ask a simple question. Has it always been this way? Has there always been this tension within us? This pull between love and something else? Has it always been there? Many of us have heard the story of Adam and Eve, and depending on how we grew up, we may have heard it in different ways. Sometimes as a story of disobedience, sometimes as a warning, sometimes as something difficult to fully understand. And even beyond the Bible, different cultures and traditions have their own ways of describing how life began. So today, I'm not here to debate which story is right or wrong, but simply to sit with the one story and gently ask, what is it showing us about ourselves? Because maybe the story of Adam and Eve is not just about the beginning. Maybe it's about a pattern we still recognize within us today. If you look at the story, in the beginning, there is openness. There is no hiding, no fear, no distance. There is relationship, a relationship with God. But then something shifts. And what we begin to see is not just one action, but a change in the relationship between Adam and Eve and God. Where there was openness, there is now hiding. Where there was trust, there is now fear. Where there was connection, there is now distance. And one of the first things that appears is blame. Let's pause here and reflect. The conversation was, it was not me, it was the other. And maybe we can recognize this because even today, when something goes wrong, our first instinct is often to protect ourselves, to explain, to shift responsibility, to point outward. And perhaps we can pause and wonder what would have happened if instead of hiding, there was honesty, if instead of blame, there was openness, if someone had simply said, I did this. We don't know, but the question itself helps us see something that maybe the break was not only about disobedience, maybe it was about something deeper, a shift from love to fear, a shift from trust to separation. And once that shift happens, it does not stay in one moment, it continues. We see it again in the story of Cain and Abel, hurt turning into anger, and anger turning into harm. And over time, this pattern continues to unfold. And maybe that is why, when we look at the world today, we still see the same things. moments of fear, moments of blame, moments where love feels distant. And yet, something within us still longs for connection with others, connection with God, still longs for wholeness, still longs to return to something that feels true. And maybe this is what we begin to see, that the story is not just about them, about Adam and Eve, it is about us. The places where we hide, the places where we shift responsibility, the places where we move away from love, even when something within us is calling us back. And maybe that is where this connects to what we have been reflecting on. If something was broken, then something needs to be restored, not just in what we do, but in relationship within ourselves, with one another, and with God. And maybe that brings us to the next question: how does that restoration begin? We will sit with that next time in our part 4 of the 7-part series. But for now, in this part 3, just notice, where do I hide? Where do I blame? Where does fear replace love? Not with judgment, but with gentleness. Because recognizing the pattern is the beginning of something new. Until next time, thank you for tuning in today. Bye for now.